I'm pumping up music in my head already. I can't wait.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Monday, November 11th, 2024. It's Remembrance Day, Veterans Day here in the States, so huge thanks to all who have served. I'm Jay Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, Tass Mellis.
Podcast listeners, this is for you.
Next to him, no pickle on this guy. It's the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Heyo.
Hey, yo. No pickle cost you.
Thank you.
And over yonder, making the magic happen, super producer JD.
Hello.
There he is. Here we are. And a little Mo Verney cold open.
Is he back?
Wow.
I mean,
Can't wait.
Holy.
I can't wait either.
It's possible. Huge shout out to everybody joining us live right now on YouTube. Hit the like button, subscribe, share the show, podcast listeners, 5-star ratings and reviews. We've got your NBA weekend winners and losers. There's a whole lot to talk about. But we also had another wedgie. I think we've had a wedgie at least every weekend of the NBA season so far. This one Friday night. Austin Reeves sticking it there in LA to get us up to number 6 on the season.
We didn't show the interview that they were showing while he hit the wedgie. Wild.
How'd I do that?
How'd I do that?
Yeah, that's right. He was the in-between quarter interview and then somehow was sticking a wedgie at the exact same time.
They should go back to him. Hey!
So yes, we're up to 6 wedgies, but let's get to NBA weekend winners. We'll do a couple rounds of this. We'll eventually get to the losers, which just involves a bunch of injuries, if we're being honest. But Tass, positively here, who's your big winner?
We got to start with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're 11-0, and I was excited to watch them on Friday against the Golden State Warriors because people were wondering, is this Cavs schedule just soft? Is it light? Well, they got to play a 7-1 Warriors team while they're 9-0, and then they just hit the Warriors right out the gate. This is who they are. They're just such a different offense. The things they were doing, it was first possession was Garland running off a pin down, off a Jared Allen pin down, then finding Mobley on a beautiful baseline cut. Then Donovan Mitchell starts the next possession. Oh my goodness, they've got another guy starting a possession here. He kicks to Okoro for a 3. Garland again pinned down. This time Mobley doesn't cut in. A 3 ball for him. And Mobley runs. It's an alley-oop from Garland. Then Garland a step back 3. It was 10-2 to start this game. It was a ridiculous offensive output for them. They had 83 points in the first half.
Against one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah. And that's why it was fun to watch this. And then, evaluate here at 41 points. Halftime lead is a team record. LeBron never did that. Anyways, they just looked a lot like the Boston Celtics, to be frank. Everyone involved.
Yeah.
5 starters in double digits in this game against the Warriors. Mitchell only scored 12 points. And he's Tatum-like if you want to compare him to the Boston Celtics. He ain't winning MVP. You can put him in the top 5 type thing, but his scoring is down to 22.5 points. It's a big fall down from this team that just relied on Donovan Mitchell and ran around Donovan Mitchell last season. His shots are down, but his usage is the same as last season because there are things going through him. He just doesn't have to take every single shot.
Yeah.
He's going to be fresher for the playoffs. That's for sure. And what's different for this Cavs team than last season? Well, they're faster than they were last year. They've got the top offense. Obviously, they actually shoot the similar number of threes. I was kind of surprised to see that, but a ridiculous percentage, shooting 42% on those threes. And obviously, you've got guys like Evan Mobley whose usage is up. And their defense is still good. And as Draymond got off the floor after this game, he said, "I feel like they just beat us with what we've beaten teams with for years. Just the ball moving, guys flying around. They're so intentional about the extra pass. That's a staple for us. The drive, kick, swing is what we've preached for years, and they diced us with it." Listen, like the Golden State Warriors that were really, really good, the last team to start 11-0, the 73-9 Golden State Warriors, they didn't have a lot of their guys playing a ton of minutes. That's what the Cavs do. Mitchell is playing 30 minutes leading this team. Everybody is at about 30 minutes per game, and so they've got that going for them. They also score just a damn lot of points. They've already surpassed 130 points 5 times this year, matches the franchise record. LeBron never did this. Anyways, they're 11-0. And they're just
that win
amazing.
got them to 10-0, and then they had to come and play the Nets in a back-to-back situation in a very close game.
Yeah.
And made some big plays down the stretch to continue the winning streak.
Yeah, I was just going to skip that one. Yeah, because they just
that was an entertaining finish.
It was an entertaining finish.
Yeah, that was a more fun game.
Yeah, they finished it off. They realized, we got to win this game. They got another one of those tonight, a very similar thing where they don't have a great opponent to try and put them to 12-0.
Any thoughts on the Cavs here?
Well,
we talked a lot about them.
We've talked a ton about the Cavs.
Yeah.
They're going to be a winner of the weekend until they lose, which could be any time, but they're blowing these teams out, and that's why Mitchell's stats are down. That's why he's playing 5 minutes less per game. 4 of their 11 games have been like 20-point victories, so he's not having to play a ton. Per 36, about the same, but they look like such a better team. The ball moves like crazy. They play a lot faster. It makes you wonder what JB Bickerstaff was doing. You got 2 great guards. Let them run. Jared Allen's fast. Evan Mobley is fast. And guess what? They don't need both of those guys at all times. That was what was interesting to me about the Nets game. Basically, no Jared Allen down the stretch. He only played like 22 minutes in this one. Kenny Atkinson is getting a lot bolder with the staggering of Allen and Mobley. We saw last season how devastating this Cleveland team can be when they're playing with one big. And they went with one big, basically, down the stretch against the Nets. They got helped out by Cam Thomas, one of the great tank commanders we got out there. He'll shoot it every time. He'll turn it over a ton. It doesn't matter if you're up by 7 with 3 minutes left. He'll give you a chance, and he gave him a chance. You also got to shout out Ty Jerome, another guy who went over double digits in the win on Friday night against the Warriors. He's averaging 10 points a game off the bench. The guards are easily scoring on this team right now. There's a ton of space out there, and they're all playing really, really well. They'll get healthier as time goes on. So yeah, Cleveland, I think it's good to be compared to the Warriors in 2015-16. I remember how the season ended. You don't necessarily want to peak in the first month of the season, but it's a great start.
Yeah, and the Cavs' next 4 games here at Chicago, then they're at Philly, then they're home to Chicago, then they're home to Charlotte. And then they play the Boston Celtics on November 19th. And people are definitely already looking ahead going, could they be 15-0 when they head in to that game against the Boston Celtics? Is it in play? I mean, you look at the schedule, absolutely. They could win all 4 of those games. Will they, though? You know, it's starting to get a little closer, some of these games, against some of these, like, sort of subpar competition, too. And that's what happens. So, like, even in that game against the Nets, it was a game where they couldn't hit threes. Like, they only shot 28 of them, hit 10 of them, had to scrape it out in the fourth quarter, defensive plays left and right, and yeah, Cam Thomas sort of shooting the Nets out of the game after he shot them in the game, but there's that whole thing. I don't think they will be undefeated come that game against the Celtics, but man, it would be obviously great for ratings and eyeballs and stuff like that if they get another shot against the Celtics where they're still undefeated.
Yeah, even though the Celtics have lost 2 games, everybody assumes they are still the favorite in the Eastern Conference, and that's totally understandable. They should be, but this team is proving that they can hang with the Celtics, at the very least. I mean, they show on the floor that they can hang with them. That being said, yeah, I mean, 11-0 doesn't guarantee a championship. We said, yeah, the Warriors were the last team to do it when they went to the finals. The previous team to do that was Dallas early in the century, 02-03. They did it. Prior to that, it was the Lakers before the 3 runs to the finals. It was a Shaq and Kobe team. They didn't win the finals. And then there's a Dominique Wilkins in there. Weird. They also did it in 97-98. But prior to that, we're going back here, but it was a Michael Jordan team that won the championship and an Akeem team that won the championship. So it's possible. But, yeah, it doesn't guarantee anything, obviously. But them and the Celtics, I mean, we have them in that category now, at the very least, at that top.
Right.
It depends on how we look at it, just like our look ahead to the season. Are they a championship contender? I mean, to me, if they make the Eastern Conference Finals, if you think they can make the Eastern Conference Finals, they are a championship contender.
Well, there's only 2 tiers in the Eastern Conference right now. 2 good teams and then everybody else.
Everybody else stinks.
It's very weird when you look at the standings. But Cavs, TK, you said it. Good start there, Tass. Like, we're going to keep saying Cleveland Cavaliers as a winner of the weekend until they actually snap this losing streak. Tonight against the Bulls in Chicago. Okay, TK's calling a shot here. Who do you have for a win of the weekend?
I got the LA Clippers. I think we'd be talking about them a lot as one of the early season surprises, were it not for the Cavaliers being the best team in the league so far. 4-game win streak for the Cavs. They won a couple, for the Clippers, they won a couple over the weekend. On Friday, they beat the Kings, and then on Saturday, they beat the Raptors. Is that right? Yep. A revenge game for Norman Powell, and he was awesome this weekend on Friday against the Kings. 31 points, 12 rebounds. His first career double-double. Huh. I was surprised to see that. What do you think Norm Powell's career high is in assists for a game? Yeah. He's been around for a long time.
That's really weird. Yeah.
Plays a lot.
Yeah. So what was it? Was it like 7?
Well, his career high in assists is 6.
Oh, okay. Wow. This
is his second ever 10-plus rebound game. I mean, he's not a big guy. Not a big rebounder. Yeah. But you would still think over, I don't know how many games
he's an athletic guy.
500 games or something like that. Crazy. But yeah, 31 and 12 on Friday, and then Saturday, 24 points, 3 assists for Norm Powell. He's leading the Clips right now in scoring, 25 a game, almost double what he was last season off the bench. The guy is the ultimate stay ready kind of player. It's like, guess what? We know Kawhi Leonard's out for the entire season. You're a starter. Now you're giving us 25 points per game. Last year, Kawhi was playing a ton. You're coming off the bench, scoring efficiently, 13 a game. Whatever they need from him, he's going to do it. 51% from the field, 49 from 3. I think those will come down, but not too far, right? Like Norman Powell has been a pretty reliable 40% three-point shooter since he's been to the Clippers. I don't know. He always finishes 4th in Sixth Man of the Year voting. He'll probably somehow finish 4th again this year. Maybe he'll finish 4th in Most Improved Player as well, but he should at least be in the mix. But the real reason the Clippers are winning is that their defense is good. They're 20th in offense right now. Harden is being productive, but not very efficient. Norm Powell, like I said, is their leading scorer. Zubac is putting points in, but they've got basically 10 guys who are decent, and they all play defense. Right now, they protect the paint really well. They give up no second chance points. They're only 6th in points in the paint. They switch everything basically 1 through 4, and then Zubac grabs the rebound. They held Sacramento on Friday to 98 points. If you hold a team under 100 in 2024, that's impressive. I'm looking at this team. We still don't know what's going on with Kawhi Leonard at all.
Nope.
No clue what's going on. They're not even giving us updates, but whatever. I think at the very least, they can probably steal the spot in the playoff mix that would go to the Pelicans, right? Like the Pelicans are so banged up. They're looking poor to start the season. We knew there was going to be a team that had injuries. Turns out it's going to be the Pelicans. It was the Grizzlies last year. I wasn't very optimistic about the Clippers coming into the year, but I think they can be in the play-in mix. Kawhi will come back at some point, and guess what? They'll be better. Yeah. And they still got 10 dudes who can play. And the guys on their bench generally play defense, Kevin Porter Jr. accepted.
Yeah, I buy that they're in the play-in as well, and it's a great time to not have to update the Kawhi Leonard injury because they're good. So you don't really have to talk about it all that much because you're 6-4 and playing above expectations, really. And Norm Powell is just a baller every single time he gets out on the floor. So yes, they are just frankly just a solid team. And with the Kawhi thing, it is something that they are just monitoring game by game and week by week. And so it feels like one of those situations where if he needed to play, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I feel like he could play. So it's one of those it's one of those things that he could. They're just playing extremely slow. And he'll be around with this incredible team. It's like Norm Powell could lead this team in scoring off the bench. It's like, the Lou Williams Clippers days for that time where he was leading.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like when Kawhi doesn't play, and will he ever, and obviously Paul George leaving, like what they have going for them in a good way, the Clippers, is like, well, we're underdogs now. Nobody believes in us. You write us off. And a lot of these guys on this team obviously have bounced around the league a bit. They're vets. They want the opportunity. Powell's flourishing with this opportunity. Remember, he had the quote that like caught a lot of people by surprise about the Kawhi injury, like in the preseason or as we were heading into the season, and it was like it sounded dismissive in a weird way of Kawhi, but it was like, don't worry, I got it. Like sort of like I can do it. Yep. And so they have like it's like their MO of this team is like leaning into that. So it'll be interesting when Kawhi, if he ever does come back, does it disrupt it at all? Probably not. Just makes them a better team. But they've surprised me too. I mean, I was ready sort of to write them off. But they're doing it the right way. They're doing it defensively.
Defense.
Yeah, it was like, we got caught up in, can Harden do what he said Luka stole from him? And can he tap back into his MVP days? It's like, well, he has his moments, sure, but really they're going to win games because they have a strong defensive identity here, and they have a lot of guys that can contribute on that. It helps when Norman Powell is scoring 26 a game, though, and can't miss a shot. Yeah. Like, that's awesome right now. And, as a former Raptor player, like, he's a fan favorite of mine, always has been. So it's cool to see him do this.
Yeah, he's been sweet. And I was checking the stats. Opponents are shooting 76% from the free throw line playing against the wall. Opponents shoot 79% against the Clippers when the Clippers are on the road. It's working.
Interesting.
3 percentage points. That matters when you're playing close games.
Sure. The wall is playing its part. Yes. All right, let's keep it going. I want to give a winner of the weekend to a game, to Sunday's Mavericks-Nuggets game. Very entertaining. TK, I thought about you immediately in this game because I was like, oh my God, we are going to get an NBA YouTube thumbnail that says duels.
Oh yeah,
with Kyrie on one side and Jokic on the other, because holy crap, they were awesome in this game. Kyrie finished with a season high 43 points. He caught fire for a stretch. Peyton Watson God bless his heart, was doing everything he could do to stay in front of him, to make life difficult, and Kyrie still kept hitting insane jumpers over, though Watson got him at the end on a three-point attempt. And then Jokic on the other side, in victory, 37 points, 18 rebounds, and 15 assists for his fourth straight triple-double. So those were the stars, but then Michael Porter Jr., I guess, was the hero, where it was about 6 or 7 seconds left. Sort of a broken play from the Nuggets because, everything's going through Jokic, and if it doesn't go through Jokic, then it's going to touch Jamal Murray's hand. But good job by the Mavs, sort of blowing up the action. And, Murray gave Michael Porter Jr. a bit of a grenade. There was still a bit of time, and Porter wisely put the ball on the ground, got by Kyrie, and hit what I thought was a pretty damn tough little floater there to put them up. And then they played a little defense on Kyrie at the end as well, made life difficult. But just a really entertaining game. I mean, the Mavs played 2 super entertaining games this weekend. Unfortunately for them, they lost them both to the Suns by 1 point and then this one by 1 possession. But what a game. What a duel, Tess.
No, what a duel. Respect to the Denver Nuggets, who have fought through this Aaron Gordon injury and come together. They are now 7-3. Yep. Who really expected it, and who expected, the Porter shot, the Peyton Watson inserted into the starting lineup just to play damn defense, and Kyrie hit that ridiculous banker. It was a banker. It was a turnaround.
Oh, that was
I'm
nuts.
going off the bank, off the glass with a minute 40 left, from an angle. Beautiful. Yeah, the Nuggets commentator Scott Hastings said, you can't play better defense than that. And Chris Marlowe said, well, you could have blocked it.
Yeah.
And then
it was like crickets after.
Yeah,
That's right.
But then
he blocked it.
a minute later, the next time that Kyrie tried a 3-point shot this time, Peyton Watson just used all of his 7'2" wingspan apparently, and I guess he didn't cut his fingernails because he got a piece of that thing.
It.
Oh, just barely. So that was great. How this team has come together is surprising. With the insertion of him into the starting lineup over Aaron Gordon, how they're playing hard. And what's really surprising, they won both games this weekend, and their bench stunk both times. Both times, their bench was obliterated. In both instances, they all had minuses, every single one of them, and they still win because that guy who's won a couple MVPs now
is the front runner to win his 4th MVP. He has to be right now. There'd be no way you could tell me he's not the MVP if you watch a single second of Nuggets action. And there are other great guys in this league. He does everything for them. Yeah. And when he's off the floor, there goes the lead. And then he comes back in and he gets it back. It's insane.
Look, Kevin Durant's got a case, I think. But he's hurt right now, and Jokic went for 37, 18, and 15. He missed, though, down the stretch. He missed his last shot, if I'm not mistaken. I couldn't believe it. He was unstoppable. They were just going to him every time. He was getting layups. He got another layup and actually missed. But then mid-range Mike came through with the jumper. I couldn't believe it. I don't know if I've ever seen Michael Porter Jr. do that. One dribble into a shot.
Yeah, it was nice how he put the ball on the floor to the left and went around. I think Kyrie was completely.
He's taking a free for sure.
Yeah, he's not a lockdown defender, Kyrie, but he was like, whoa, what's he doing? Where the hell's he going? Because again, the shot clock was starting to go down, and he just got the ball in the wing, and you think, Porter Jr. is going to let this go. He's going to shoot it over me, and I'll try and contest it. But to put it on the ground and hit that little jumper, floater, whatever you want to call it, from some distance, it was smooth.
Money. Yeah, Michael Malone's made Michael Porter Jr. more of a target on the offense. He's taking dribble handoffs. When they came into the season, they were like, okay, KCP's gone. You got to do some more. And he is getting more confident. Sometimes you just see Michael Porter Jr. just not on this planet. Doesn't look like he's playing a basketball the way he can. But this year, there is more of steady Mike, killer Mike. What did you call him again?
I didn't call him
Mighty
anything.
Mike. Mighty
mid-range Mike.
Oh, mid-range.
I call him Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
God-given name.
He's a three-name guy.
Yeah.
He's not really Porter.
No.
He ain't Michael.
Not Junior.
He ain't Junior.
Yeah, what did they say in the broadcast? MP with the mid-range J.
Yeah.
After he hit the shot. Funny. Hey, the Nuggets are 5th in offense, even though they don't shoot threes.
Yeah, and that's how they won the championship. They don't need to shoot threes.
Yeah.
They just need to shoot enough. And that's a little
They
bit.
could use some players back. I do think they are only playing 8 guys. They're playing like it's the playoffs right now. Jokic played 38 minutes last night. He's playing the most minutes per game of his career, but they need it, and they need him to play every one of these minutes right now because all of their games are close, and they need him because he's one of the best clutch dudes in the league.
Yeah, that's the concern moving forward here is are we asking Jokic to do a little too much here too early in the season? But they've needed it, as you said, TK. Otherwise, you could tell me they should be 3-7. In all honesty, they're in so many of these close games, and every possession down the stretch goes through them, and that's what you operate through. And that's why they are won 5 straight here at home to get back into a very good-looking record overall.
Yeah.
It hasn't been pretty how they've done it, and lack of contributions sort of down the roster, but he's just so unbelievable. It's just nuts. And it's like, I don't know, it's been like this for years, but the guy 37, 18, and 15, and we don't even start the show with it. It's sort of like just expected at this point. But he's doing stat lines we've never seen in NBA history. It's definitely taken for granted.
This guy's good.
It's wild. It is wild. But that was a very fun game. At least go check out the highlights from Sunday's Mavs-Nuggets game. Oh, the one thing about the Mavericks, I will say, Kyrie was cooking. And the Mavs had a possession. They were up 2. It may have been after a Jokic miss, actually, if I remember correctly. They probably could have put the game away. And they come up, and they did nothing. They ran the old, Luka's just going to dribble from about 35 feet out, and he's just going to look, and there was no movement. Nobody moved on the Mavericks. Everybody just stood where they did, and I get it. We've seen Luka hit that 3 over guys many times before, but this one he didn't, and it's just when that happens, it looks really gross, if we're being honest. There's no action, and also maybe give it to the guy that can't miss right now in Kyrie, and let's see what he can do. Maybe it was give him the possession off. I don't know. I just didn't love that. That was just weird play call. Was that kid? Is that Luka? Just the team in general? Just fatigue? I don't know.
They were all tired, I thought, at the end of that game.
Murray,
but also, that's classic Mavs for you.
I know.
They got 2 big shot makers. They're going to miss them sometimes.
Yeah. I guess just give it to the one guy that can't miss right now.
He missed 2.
Well, yeah, not in that possession. He didn't touch the ball. It was just Luka, just dribbling. First off, he barely got over half court because they were slow it. And then, so he did the quick little speed up to get over half court before the 8-second violation.
Yeah, that was close.
Very close.
Yeah.
And then he just settled and they missed. That was a big board there from the Nuggets. But they pull out the victory. Let's do another round here, Tass. Who you got?
The Los Angeles Lakers. They made a starting lineup change early in the season here to pull out D'Angelo Russell from the starting lineup for Cam Reddish because they said our starting lineup needs a little bit more on-the-ball defense while our bench needs some more scoring. And, hey, it worked on Friday night. They're playing a bad Philadelphia 76ers team, but Cam Reddish filled in perfectly. We haven't said Cam Reddish's name much this year because he had 2 games in the rotation prior to this game, and J.J. Redick said, we need him. He came in. He took 1 shot in 27 minutes. That's exactly what you need Cam Reddish to do, and he made Paul George's life hell. It wasn't fun for him, who shot 4 of 13 in this game, and Redick put Russell to the bench after talking to him all summer, apparently. Apparently, Redick and Russell are good buds. They love golf, and so they bonded over that.
Bonded on the links.
Yeah, and they bonded enough for D'Angelo Russell to just buy into this bench thing. Obviously, it's early here, but he was awesome in this game. 18 points, tied the most by any Lakers player off the bench this season, 7 of 12. Fantastic stuff. Now I'm going to take you, after beating the Philadelphia 76ers, to what I was giving the Lakers a winning move for because they brought Bronny James to the G League. Very good move as well. That's what you need to do. That was fantastic because he's been basically playing in garbage minutes after that 2-minute run in the opening game to play with Dad. So you send him to the G League. All the Lakers showed up. Most of the Lakers, LeBron and family, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, and Bronny had a fine game working with Christian Coloco there. But what I really enjoyed after the game when he was interviewed, he was asked, what part of the game are you working on? And he said, well, I haven't been down to the G League for long. Not down, to the G League. He didn't want to call it down. He didn't want to call it a demeaning thing. He's been media trained. LeBron is talking to him. You're going to the G League. It's not a down thing. And then I didn't expect him to be in lineups warming up for the Sunday game. I didn't expect him to be back, but he was back for the Toronto Raptors game. What was really crazy about this game, as the D'Angelo Russell Cam Reddish thing continued, the Anthony Davis getting poked in the eye while he's blocking a shot.
Oh my God. Huge block.
Yeah, a great block on Jakob Poeltl, who's using his chicken arm to just shove his finger, unfortunately, in Anthony Davis's left eye, which he hurt twice last season. He suffered a left corneal abrasion twice last year. We don't know what's going on with the eye, but he had to leave the game and didn't come back. But the bench was just so good with D'Angelo Russell, Hayes, Dalton Connect, and my man Gabe Vincent. They just look like more
and
of a
my
gel.
man Gabe Vincent.
We're
Big 5 for Gabe.
yeah, just a $5. Yeah, they just gel.
Publicist got to get to work here on a Monday.
Everybody loves Gabe. Obviously, JJ Redick loves Gabe. Anyways, the bench looks way better, more balanced here. And LeBron, 115th triple-double of his career in his 1,500th career start. That's a big number.
He had like 16 assists against the Raps, something like that.
Yeah, they took care of the Raps, as they should. Obviously, the Raps, that's a tough skid, man. Back to back, it ain't easy.
Hey,
but anyways,
competitive games from our tanking Raps here. Baby.
The Lakers aren't a championship team, but it is a much more balanced to see Cam Reddish in the starting lineup rather than D'Angelo Russell. And Austin Reeves is good enough to take those handling responsibilities. That beautiful behind the back lefty drop into the lane.
Cam, right?
Yeah, that was to Cam, yeah. Cam shot a little bit more, but, Cam's not the old Cam like we saw here with the Atlanta Hawks where I got to shoot every single time. He's playing his role.
I think D'Angelo Russell makes more sense as a bench player, just the style of guy he is. He wants to shoot the ball. He wants to have the ball in his hands, and obviously there are players in their starting lineup you would rather have the ball. Also, his defense doesn't matter quite as much when he's playing on the second unit. Has Gabe Vincent out there who does play defense. They're kind of like they're like a yin-yang to each other. It's like Gabe Vincent, he got called out by JJ Redick last week because he didn't shoot the ball despite playing 18 minutes. Went 0 for 0. You can't have that on the bench. It can't be all defense. So we balance things a little bit, and it's working good. 18 and then I think 15 for Russell against the Raptors as well. That just seems to make more sense. The question is, how long will D'Angelo Russell be happy coming off the bench? They won the first 2 games. He scored well the first 2 games, but last year he was calling out Darvin Ham for playing Taurean Prince too many minutes because he was saying Darvin Ham played favorites. I don't know that D'Angelo Russell is going to take the demotion well for the entirety of the season, but at least for the first weekend it worked.
Yeah, we'll see how much of that golf connection worked with him and JJ Redick. Are they boys? Because he did come into the camp and just talk a good game as well. Like his head was on right, and this team's just been terrible off the bench. We're dead last in scoring.
That's the thing. You can almost sell it to D'Angelo like, hey, save our bench. Okay, I mean,
go crazy.
I know that's I'm twisting it a little bit. Like, we are taking out of the starting lineup, but we've got nothing. We're one of the worst in the league. Mm-hmm. You can do that. You can score. You can be our lead ball handler in that second unit. And so far so good over the weekend. Didn't play like the greatest competition in the world, but good stuff. And you paired it with the Bronny going to the G League there. Lakers get a winner of the weekend from Tass, mainly because of Gabe Vincent, though. Let's be honest. All right.
Hey, the Raps were kicking their butt.
I know. I thought the Raps were going to win.
Yeah,
but I've thought that almost every game this year.
Well, they've got a very tough schedule.
Yeah.
They got to play all the good teams.
Yeah. And they haven't won on the road yet.
They're the last team to not win on the road.
Yeah, weird.
Trey, you got another winner.
Jared McCain might have won Rookie of the Year this week.
Oh, boy, you're still doing this bit. I like it.
18-2 in a loss to the Lakers. New career high 27 points and 3 assists in a win yesterday against the Hornets, including 23 points after halftime. I say that, but it's more like 23 points starting with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. The guy caught fire. He's the only rookie this season with more than one 18-plus point game. Huh. These guys ain't scoring very much. You have one good game, you have 2 good games in a row, you might win Rookie of the Year. He looks a little bit like a Tyrese Maxey clone, but if instead for speed, you put in shiftiness. I think Maxey has a lot more flat-out speed, but maybe a little more herky-jerkiness for Jared McCain. He looks like mostly a scorer so far, but the Sixers need somebody else who can create. Snapped a 5-game losing streak by beating the Hornets. It was kind of an ugly one, but it was also fun. It was their first win with Paul George in the lineup, though he didn't play in overtime because he ran out of minutes. Yep. They're like, wait a second. The game's not over? That's all good. They had Yabusele. Kept going to Yabusele, and Jared McCain carried the Sixers to a win over the Hornets. And LaMelo went crazy in this one. 38 points, had a 3 to tie from the corner. I don't even know how he got the shot up. Looked like a joke.
Wild.
Went in. Pure swish. That was cool. Brandon Miller, he was dunking all over. 22 points. Paul George, you need a new move at the end of the game. They went to him again at the end of regulation. Airball jumper.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah.
I've seen the Gatorade commercial, bud. Come on, go to the rim. That's only been my complaint his entire career. But Jared McCain, awesome. First couple of games for him with a big role here. There's going to be an opportunity for however long Maxey is out. I assume that the Sixers will likely stick with Kyle Lowry as their starter just because he's got the veteranship. He's going to bring it defensively. He does move the ball, but they were playing Lowry and McCain together quite a bit, just trying to get any sort of scoring on the court. He'll have some tough games, I imagine. He's a very small guy. Like, he's shooting some of these fadeaways. They were going in against the Hornets, but he looked like the smallest guy on the court out there. Very smiley as well. Love the tude he's bringing. So I was impressed with Jared McCain. You're a new Rookie of the Year.
Did he drop a new TikTok dance after the game?
I don't know.
Right.
Well, he's got one dance.
I know.
He's got the one dance, but he might have
he's
got it.
mastered it.
Yeah, dripping in water. I'm sure they poured water on him.
All right, Jared McCain and the Sixers. Anything to note there for you?
Well, you talked him up on Friday leading into this weekend when we talked about the Philadelphia 76ers, and he is he's good. I mean, he's the French fry. I just see McCain, and I think French fries.
French fry.
Is
that a Canadian reference?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's a brand. That's a Canadian brand.
Yeah, I don't think they have
Frozen foods.
Yeah, it's frozen foods.
Okay.
I mean, they're making their way across the border. They put them in the trunk. It's cold. They ship them here as well.
Okay.
But Lowry was doing Lowry things against the Charlotte Hornets, who released his ass. They traded for him, and then they just released him immediately.
Revenge game from Lowry?
For sure. Yeah, why not?
Wow.
I loved watching Brandon Miller this weekend. He was 3 of 11 from 3 in this game, but it was 7 of 11, I think, the night before. Or the game before, I should say, against the Pacers. My God, he's so good. He's good. He's so great, and it's just like, it's a little Nuggets like with LaMelo and him, where it's just those two guys, like Luka and Kyrie, and then everybody else is just kind of around, and they'll set flare screens for Brandon Miller, and he'll just get the ball and he'll make it happen. So they're a fun watch, and obviously LaMelo continues to do it.
We had some old-ass guys starting in this game, between the Sixers and the Hornets. I just realized Taj Gibson had the start.
Got the start,
We had Lowry, of course. I mean, Drummond's not a spring chicken. Paul George isn't even that young. There's some old guys starting. Along with some young guys, of course, on the Hornets as well. But, what a shot from Ball.
Yeah, that was a crazy
that was
shot.
Mental. But they got it done. Jared McCain, your Rookie of the Year frontrunner here.
Not a duel I expected to see on the NBA's YouTube page. LaMelo Ball versus Jared McCain. Entertaining, though.
Very entertaining. Okay, some other NBA weekend winners. I'll move through these with some pace. Benedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton played really well for the Pacers against the Knicks there in a victory. It was sort of Mathurin keeping them close and then Halliburton take over. I think that's of note just with the Halliburton, like, whoa, okay, here we go, because he has had a very quiet start to the season. I know he had the odd game here or there, but a lot of duds, and this one he was like a monster. And Benedict Mathurin, again, man, he kept the Pacers in that game. So good stuff from them. Wemby, monster game on, was that Saturday night against the Jazz? Now, it was a loss. Utah did win. But Wembanyama, 24 points, including a career-high 6 threes, 16 boards, and 7 blocks. That stat line makes Wembanyama the first player in NBA history to record multiple games of 20-plus points, 15-plus boards, 5-plus blocks, and 5-plus made three-pointers. The only other player in NBA history to produce even one such game of 15 boards, 5 blocks, and 5 threes, Paul Millsap. In 2016. Isn't that a weird one?
Big game.
This is sort of becoming really the Wemby line when you think about it. Like, I know we talk a lot about the 5x5s and stuff like that, but it's the threes with the blocks, with the boards. Like, that might be the Wemby line. Came in a loss, like I said, but still monster.
Paul Millsap.
Monster performance.
I thought I saw Paul Millsap on the floor as I was watching the Denver Nuggets. I saw number 4 going for an offensive rebound. I thought, is that Paul Millsap? Is Paul Millsap here? Because he used to wear 4 for the Nuggets, and he was just off the ball getting rebounds. But it's Russell Westbrook now, so that was weird. I've watched a lot of basketball, obviously, if I'm flashing Paul Millsap. But he was a baller for a long time. Then at the end, he did Wemby things.
Well, I remember people saying
Wemby-ish.
Yeah, very Wemby-ish. Paul Millsap was Wemby
what
before Wemby. That's what a lot of people thought.
Yeah.
Okay, winner of the weekend, too, De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan leading the Kings to an overtime win over the Suns. Entertaining, but it was like DeRozan takeover down the stretch of regulation. Then he had 8 points to basically begin overtime for the King. Beal was trying his best. No Kevin Durant. We'll get to that news in a second. But Fox then suddenly caught fire. Like, we've talked about the Kings, like, when they got DeRozan, it was like, well, that seems unfair. Now they're going to have 2 guys that are just sort of like automatic a lot of times down the stretch of the fourth quarter, overtime, and that's what it was in this one. It was DeRozan had a season-best 34 points. And like I said, Fox had a bad game until he just couldn't miss jumpers in OT. But they only got there because Keegan Murray had like a little tip-in off a miss. That got them into overtime. Although then he committed a foul, which gave Booker a free throw. So a little good from Keegan Murray, a little bad. But they pulled it out. And I wanted to throw this nickname suggestion at you guys from Deuce from Deuce and Mo fame, a fantastic Kings podcast, I guess, but also video podcast, same as us. He said, and I don't know if he came up with this, but he called DeMar and De'Aaron the Dementors. Okay, I guess that's a Harry Potter reference. I know TK will know that. Dementors drain happiness from people and force them to relive their worst memories. So could De'Aaron and DeRozan be the Dementors, just in the sense that they sort of like take your soul or your happiness from you if you're the opposition? Just chew on it. Just chew on it.
Yeah,
I perked up. There's something there with both of their names being De'Aaron and DeMar.
They were like black hoods.
Yeah,
the mentors do.
Yeah.
They are bad guys, though. They're some of the worst guys in the Harry Potter universe.
Yeah, sure. But if you're the opposition, those are the bad guys.
That's a good point.
Right?
That's a good point.
I like it, Deuce. And then finally, Nikola Jovic made the tying layup and go-ahead foul shot with about 7 seconds left to send the Heat past the Wolves 95-94. This was a weird game. A lot of turnovers in this game, some defense from both squads, but that victory there snapped the Heat's losing streak. And here's the play. I mean, really, I don't know, maybe a winner of the weekend to Spo for drawing this one up, and then the way they executed it. And it was just a really unique setup, honestly, for that play of where they were and how much time, and caught the Wolves by surprise. Anthony Edwards and Nickeil Alexander-Walker did not communicate well enough on the switch, and No had he just thought about it for a second, and by then it was too late. Jovic got the bucket and the foul, and he hit the free throw. So brilliant play call, execution. That's a nice winner of the weekend there for the Heat.
And a double flex underneath the hoop for a long time to see Jovic just give him the double biceps. Yeah, it was surprising that, it was a good setup because it was like 50 feet away from the basket.
Yeah.
So I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker thought, okay, he's not going to the hoop. They still have enough time to run.
Totally.
Play.
You think it's going to be something, caught around the half-court line, getting into action, driving to the net. And, it was Rozier sort of spinning around, set the little back pick. And then, again, there's just miscommunication of, are we switching here? And then, Jovic.
Probably the last guy you expect to get the ball as well.
Totally.
But even the Timberwolves broadcasters were like, ooh, this is an interesting alignment. When they came out, I thought Anthony Edwards was, J.J. Redick would say, poor attention to detail in the last 2 minutes of this game. He had a fast break with 1:45, went up for a layup, but for some reason decided to pass it to Rudy Gobert. Weird turnover, gave up an offensive rebound on the other end, fouled, gave the Heat a couple of extra points right there. I think it was Haywood Highsmith grabbed the board. And then the miscommunication here right at the end with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Curious that Rudy Gobert was not on the court for the play.
I know, indeed. A 95-94 game, man. You just don't see those sort of scores often anymore.
Heat went zone mode at the end of this game, and the Timberwolves were like, what? We better just foul. They could not stop fouling in the last 2 minutes.
Okay, so that's some winners of the weekend. Let's do a batch of losers. Trey, let's start with you. Who's your big loser of the NBA weekend?
Couple ugly losses for our hometown Atlanta Hawks this weekend. Friday, they lost to the Detroit Pistons, trailed the entire game in this one, didn't take the lead until 12 seconds left, and then Cade Cunningham hit a tough game winner, the lefty hook.
Yeah.
Basically, I would give him a minor W of the weekend.
For sure.
Cade Cunningham, 3 straight triple-doubles, had the game winner, almost had a 4th triple-double. I think they lost yesterday to the Rockets.
Yes.
But that doesn't matter because he still gets the W. Cool. Also, another loser of the weekend to the Hawks for Saturday's loss against the Bulls, kind of the flip of their loss to the Pistons. The Hawks were cruising in this one, leading the first 3 quarters. They were up by 18 points in the first half, but against the Cardiac Bulls, it do not matter. Bulls outscored the Hawks 35-15 in the 4th quarter, and the Hawks could get nothing going offensively against a Bulls team who is one of the worst defenses in the league. Ayo Dosunmu taking it to Trae Young once again, 19 points, 4 assists on 7 of 10 field goals for Ayo Dosunmu. Had a big dunk that really was the dagger in this game. Held Trae Young to 14 points on 6 of 16 shooting. Trae did have 16 assists. He likes to get off the ball against Ayo, but also 6 turnovers in this one. And I gotta say, I think you guys are lying to me.
What's that?
What?
You told me Dyson Daniels has this team wanting to play defense. Dyson Daniels is playing defense. First in the league in deflections.
Yeah.
Hawks are 27th on the season in defense.
Yeah.
23rd in rebound rate. They give up a ton of points off turnovers, but the big problem is they give up so many three-pointers. Teams are averaging 16.7 made threes per game against the Hawks. That's last in the league. 42 attempts per game this season. That's last in the league. And they're shooting 40% from 3, also last in the league. you can't play like this. In 2024, you have to take away the three-pointers. The Hawks are basically trying to take away the lane, and it is not working. On the offensive end, then, they don't shoot a lot of three-pointers for whatever reason. Trey's their big three-point shooter, but everybody else is kind of in the mid-range game, or, in the case of Capella and Okongwu, it's all dunks, nothing else. So I don't know what the deal is with the Hawks. The deal is they are the same team. Once again, they'll finish about 500, probably a little bit under. The defense will be bad, but the offense hasn't been good enough to make up for it on the other end.
Did you go down to the Fortress to see your Chicago Bulls?
Been too busy this weekend. I'm leaving tonight, so.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I was sad. I think I'm actually going to miss them in December as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
no. Well, a dominant fourth quarter from the Bulls, but it's honestly just same old with the Hawks. Like, they just can't stop anybody. It's been the case for like 3 years running here. It's so infuriating. And, you thought it might be a little better. Well, we thought it'd be better when DeJounte Murray came, for crying out loud. And it wasn't. And then you're like, okay, maybe it'll make a little more sense with the guys they picked up in trading DeJounte Murray. Dyson Daniels, deflections. I think he has like 17 steals over his last 3 games. It's like insane numbers, but it hasn't like translated to the rest of the team. They just don't stop anybody.
And it looked like there was a chance, obviously, that they could beat the Pistons until the Cade Winningham game winner. And that's what the Hawks do. They go close to teams, and then the other team pulls away in the fourth quarter. That's what happens. That Cade Cunningham shot was over Dyson Daniels, a very good defender, with his left hand way up high off the glass. That was a very tough drive and finish from Cade Cunningham. So kudos to him. I mean, that was a tough play to hit over Dyson Daniels, who's a damn good defender. And then Cade Cunningham came and blocked the snot out of Onyeka Okongwu to seal it. And he kind of did the same thing the next night on Alperen Şengün towards the end of the game. But, they couldn't win that game. So, Cade, good for him. Yeah, the Hawks need, obviously, some more help. Beside Dyson, he needs to get his hand held by Zachary Sachet, who needs to get his hand held by another guy. They need to be who they are. I mean, they can be long and tough, but they're not that right now.
Who do you have for a loser of the weekend?
The Milwaukee Bucks. Let's do it again. One more time. It's unfortunate. We got to talk about the Bucks. They got spanked by the New York Knicks Friday night. They really got smoked. And Giannis, after the game, he said, we didn't play hard. He was in his interview in the locker room. He had a hat on, which was interesting. I don't think Giannis has ever worn a hat.
Rare hat.
Yeah, not at all. It was a curved beak. I couldn't tell what was on the hat. But anyways,
he was frustrated.
He was. Do we want to play hard? Basically, he was asking. Then he saw a reporter who apparently sighed. Like there's no video of this reporter. This reporter, while Giannis was talking, just kind of, I guess. And then he turned to the reporter. He said, "If you don't want to be here, you can leave. If you don't want to be here, you can leave. Okay." And then he kept answering his question. It
kept saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
that's why the guy was sighing. Exactly. Just competing. We're not competing. We got to compete. We got to compete. He's not wrong, but
what did that guy want? I mean, he wanted to ask a question, I guess.
Can you stop talking for a second so I can ask you a question?
So he got mad at his team after the Knicks game. They came out and responded against the Boston Celtics. They were ready that first half. Yes. They looked good. Giannis looked incredible, driving on every single possession. And they were sagging off him, so he started hitting the mid-range. Then Lillard threw him an alley-oop. It's always good when a guy catches an alley-oop that doesn't look like it could be caught because it looks awesome. I mean, that ball was literally behind the backboard, and he was able to
There's like 3 other guys that could have caught and finished that in the league.
Yeah, so he had 19 points in the first quarter. No big deal. He had 27 at half. They're up by double digits at half. And in the third quarter, the Celtics came out and the Bucks weren't ready to play defense. I mean, they fought back, so it was an even game in the third quarter, but they couldn't hold them off. Yeah, because the Celtics are good. I don't know when Chris Middleton comes back. I mean, they've now played 10 games, so they've got 72 games left. It was only a few weeks ago he told Eric Name of The Athletic, if I don't play 70 or 75 games, I consider this season a failure. I mean, we're getting close to that. Anything below 70 is a failure. He does not consider that a successful season. I bring that up because in the third quarter, the minutes that he would be taking from Taurean Prince were a little hazardous to this team. I mean, Taurean Prince just ain't running around enough. He ain't moving enough, and they're trying different things. They're pulling out Gary Trent from the starting lineup for Andre Jackson Jr. and A.J. Green coming off the bench and doing really good things. And it's okay for them to lose to the Celtics, even the Knicks. But they just don't fight all the time. And they would be helped out a lot, I think, by Chris Middleton. And this Eastern Conference, again, I don't think it's dead for the Milwaukee Bucks to be 4 or 5 at all. With the way, like you said, I mean, there really is just 2 tiers here. Beyond the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers, there are 500 teams or worse. So you just got to put a winning streak together, and you'll be all right.
Their season will be decided here in like the next couple weeks. I heard Bontemps, talking about the Bucks schedule for the rest of November. They have a lot of winnable games, at least when you look at it. They play the Raptors, they play the Pistons. Those are at home. Then they play the Hornets in Charlotte. They play the Rockets, Bulls, Pacers, Hornets, Heat, Wizards, Pistons, Hawks. That's taking us through to December, by the way. A lot of those in-season tournament games, but a lot of them at home. Like, it'll all depend how they do in those next 10 or 11 games. If it's like 8-3, it'll sort of be similar to what the Nuggets did there. Started slowly, and then you're like, oh, okay, the record's not brutal. But if it's the flip of that, or they're sub 500 in those games against not the greatest competition, it could be sort of start to become a wrap on the year. And then obviously all you're going to hear more and more about is like, oh, should they trade Giannis? Or what move could they possibly make? Or could they trade Dame? Like, it'll be that. It already is that, if we're being honest. But it's not good.
Yeah, their 2 wins so far are opening night against the 76ers, no Embiid, no Paul George, and their other win is against the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
So they're barely beating bad teams, and they're losing to every team that is decent, and I agree with you. I don't really know where the help is going to be outside of Chris Middleton getting healthy, which could not come faster because Gary Trent Jr. was out this weekend, but he's basically already been replaced in the rotation by Andre Jackson, who's now starting only 8 minutes in the Thursday game for Gary Trent Jr. DeLon Wright doesn't play anymore. He's been replaced by a guy named Ryan Rollins, who is not Ryan Hollins. This Ryan Rollins is a guard.
Right.
And it's helping having guys out there who are a little bit athletic, a little bit younger, but their offense is pretty tough to watch. I thought, especially starting in the second half, like it was an 11-point game for the Bucks going into halftime, and it was a tie game in 3 minutes because Milwaukee could not get shots and they couldn't play defense. Basically, the Celtics were taking the Bucks completely out of their actions by putting Jrue Holiday onto Giannis and then switching everything that would have Giannis, and I guess Brook Lopez was kind of in the mix as well. And then Lillard, of course. Lillard struggled in this game. He has one good game every week, basically, and then who knows offensively, and then he's not bringing anything defensively. They have nothing left that they can trade. It's going to be internal, getting on the same page, figuring out how to play together, and right now it just feels like Giannis busting his head against the wall, trying anything to get this team over the line, and sometimes I think that's even counterproductive because the guy takes impossible shots. Right. He did score 40-something, but like a Giannis fadeaway from the baseline, that ain't a good shot. It's one of the best shots the Bucks can get, because the other option is a Bobby Portis post-up. So I don't really know what's going on with Milwaukee. At least Doc is trying some new stuff with these younger guys, and I do think it's helping because they've been playing a little bit harder, been playing a little bit closer, though the Knicks game would tell you the opposite. Yeah. Terrible start, though, for Milwaukee. The good thing is that the Eastern Conference stinks, so they're not losing too much ground.
Yeah, they are scarily bad against bad teams as well. They kind of get up for some good teams.
They played the Cavs close in those losses.
Yeah, both those losses.
The Celtics close.
Celtics close twice, pretty much. But yeah, they lose games against the Nets and the Bulls and the Grizzlies and barely beat they spanked the Jazz, I guess. But at this point, yes, it has to happen internally. And Giannis is putting a lot on his shoulders. Even Ryan Rollins, who's their backup guard, was dropped from that in the second quarter because Giannis just became the backup guard. He's doing everything. And Rajon Rondo was talking to Ryan Rollins on. I forget that Rajon Rondo is an assistant coach on this Bucks team. But yeah, even the back point guard responsibilities go to Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is everything's.
Well,
on his
what
shoulders.
did you think of Giannis's psych handshake and whatever, call it a little altercation there with Jaylen Brown? After he popped him in the head.
Giannis with the post move.
Yeah, with the offensive foul. The elbow was high.
Yeah.
Caught Jaylen Brown.
So Jaylen Brown got up and started running down the floor like normal. And Giannis does say, and you can see it, check the lips. He says, "You okay?" And so he throws out his hand as he says that, and Jaylen Brown goes to shake his hand, and he does the, "Whoa, you missed me." And after the game, Jaylen Brown said, "He's childish. Giannis is a child. How dare he?" And then Giannis was told about it as he was doing his post-game interview. He said, "Oh, he said that?" He was kind of upset by it. He's like, "Yeah, man, I do that with my kids." So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done that with your kid?
Of course.
Accidentally horsing around, maybe hurt him a little bit?
I would never pull the too slow on him after I heard him.
That's what I'm asking. That's what he did to Jaylen Brown.
Part. Yeah. I think it should have been the other way around. Jaylen Brown should have reached out, be like, "It's all good," and then went for his hair.
Right.
It was weird that Giannis did it.
Totally.
Yeah. And then later in the game, Giannis was driving towards the hoop, and he was sort of in the air, and Jaylen Brown hit him as hard as he possibly could and sent him to the floor. Yeah. Giannis got up. He didn't go at Jaylen Brown or anything. So it was, there was a little elbow, and he thought that it wasn't enough to not bring out his handshake, I guess.
The whole part
because
of
he knew
this-
he was okay, because he said, okay. He was running back up the floor.
The
I don't know
reason
why I'm
this is
defending
maybe
it,
a
but-
bigger story than it is, maybe even needs to be is like they are 2-8, and there obviously is a lot of frustration around the Bucks. Now I know they were leading at the time that Giannis did the old psych there, but like if they're 8-2 and he's doing this, people are like this guy, his dad jokes, this guy, what a goofball. But it's honestly it hits a little different when you're really really struggling, and it's just weird. It was more weird than anything.
Him in the head.
Yeah. Are you okay? Yeah. Okay. Let's shake on it. No. Gotcha.
Yeah, more weird than anything.
Yeah. All right. Big NBA weekend loser to the relentless NBA injury bug. Let's go through this because it's brutal. Okay. First off, Grizzlies guard Ja Morant considered week to week after imaging revealed a posterior hip subluxation, along with multiple grade 1 pelvic muscle strains. He did this when he was trying to catch a lob pass. This was Wednesday's win. So he is going to be out here for a couple weeks, or at least considered week to week. Hard fall, and don't like seeing multiple grade 1 pelvic muscle strains, and obviously the hip injury for a guy that like relies on athleticism.
Yep.
So that sucks. I'll keep going. Pelican Zion Williamson diagnosed with a left hamstring strain. He's out indefinitely. This one happened Wednesday night. He checked himself out. He came back, played pretty well, but then he didn't play in Friday's game to the Magic and didn't play at all since then. And this is an indefinitely. And this is a team that is already ravaged by injuries in the Pelicans. I mean, they got nobody. And now their star guy in Zion's out. I'll keep going. You already brought up Anthony Davis. He got an incredible block on Pirtle, and then Pirtle caught him accidentally in the eye. And he's got this, he already had this eye injury a couple times, like you said, Tass, last season. I saw a quote, he's like, I can't really see out of it right now. Like, it was scary, right, with the eye. Who knows how long that'll be. Kevin Durant suffered a left calf strain. He's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. He suffered that in Friday's dramatic win over the Mavs. But a couple weeks, he'll be on the shelf. He was an MVP frontrunner. Obviously, clutch play from Kevin Durant had just been amazing. But that sucks for the Suns. And then the crazy one. Yesterday, Sunday's loss to the Warriors, OKC big man Chet Holmgren suffered a pelvic fracture thanks to a very hard fall where he's trying to block Wiggins. They collide in the air. Chet goes down and obviously lands on his side. And he's going to be out. Or at least the status will be provided in 8 to 10 weeks. Like 2 months and change. Like we won't see him till 2025. Which is super unfortunate with the way he was playing. I mean, a lot of these guys, like I listed, were playing really well. What the hell? And we already had a brutal start to the season with a lot of injuries, and then this weekend was like, here's another 6 star guys, basically, or 5 or 6 star guys.
Yeah, the worst one, the scariest one, and as you said, the most long-term one is Chet Holmgren, 8 to 10 weeks with the pelvic fracture, unfortunate, because that defense was so freaking good with him, and then he was out for that Golden State Warriors game on Sunday, and the defense looked way different. And
they have no other bigs, too.
Yeah, and
they're missing everybody else.
Yeah, Hartenstein hopefully come back at some point, but yeah, you see Holmgren hit the floor like that. It was scary.
That was nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that just sucks. I mean, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. It was like, oh my God. Guys from last week, suddenly they're going to be out for a while. Then you got the KD one, you got AD on Sunday, and then, yeah, you're right. Chet's the most unfortunate one with no Hartenstein and no other Jalen Williams, no Kenrich Williams. I mean, these are all their bigs, really. And this is a significant injury here too. This is an injury where it's like, okay, they'll say 8 to 10 weeks, but you're hoping he heals quickly enough that he could even get back to playing. You know, they're not saying he's out for the season or anything like that, but man. And I guess the Pacers have a couple guys too. Nesmith, he's out for a while. Aaron Nemhard out for a while. Nemhard out for a while. So
they got depth at least. The Pelicans, man, you got to feel for the Pelicans. Like, how many years can they keep doing this? All their guys get injured, and then, of course, Zion gets injured, and it's one that we've seen a few times. He obviously left the play-in game last year due to a hamstring injury, had some problems earlier with it this season. He's had other seasons that just went by the wayside due to a hamstring injury. he was an indefinite, I believe, as well with this strain. So they're kind of like saying, we have no idea, man. Even when he comes back, is he going to be able to stay on the court? I don't think that the Pelicans can confidently go forward with that. The only guy that's a winner here is Brandon Ingram. He's probably like, suckers.
Yeah.
You guys were ready to trade me.
I'm the only guy
You didn't want
left.
to pay me, and guess who's actually playing every game and playing pretty well? At least he's reliably out there.
Yeah.
Probably cursed him.
Yeah. Jesus. Oh my God. I mean, the way this is going, this season's going, I mean, you can't say anybody's name.
Right.
Because holy crap, it feels more than normal here for, what are we, 3-4 weeks into the NBA season? But this many injuries and a lot of like hamstring strains, a lot of calf strains. Like these ones where guys are colliding in the air or hitting the ground hard. It's okay. That's sort of fluky stuff. That's unfortunate. But a lot of the calves and the hamstrings, Tass, are these guys not stretching enough? I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to ask the hard-hitting questions.
Not stretching
Maybe
their...
they weren't ready for the season.
Maybe too much stretching.
Gotta stretch your pelvic subluxations.
Yeah.
Derek Lively also out for the Dallas Mavericks. That hurts them
Yeah.
in their depth. Hopefully he'll be back. He's got a shoulder sprain. But I would say about Morant's posterior hip subluxation, the pelvic injury was something Emmanuel quickly went through. It may be totally different because he didn't have a hip subluxation, I don't think.
I don't think so.
But Emmanuel quickly came back after a couple weeks.
That's what it's sounding like for Morant.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's
for
the case.
most of these guys, other than Chet.
That's significant.
Yeah.
Okay, tonight's Pick'em game. Tass, where are we going, man?
Listen, there's 5 games on this Monday evening. They all start at the same time.
Interesting.
It is an interesting schedule. There was a lot of games this weekend. They come up with 5 on Monday. And I just want to play some hockey after hearing this intro. The Sacramento Kings are going to visit Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay.
That should be a good game. It's a close line. Spurs, 1.5-point dogs.
Okay.
So-
Kings got to win by 2 or more.
There's a couple of us that are with the Spurs in this one. Myself and Esh, while you guys think the Kings will take care of this business, no problem.
Smart line here. Keep it within 1.5 points. I think 7 out of 10 games for the Kings so far have gone into clutch games. Not a surprise. Like, they're going to score a lot, they're going to give up a lot, and it's going to come down to the Dementors. They suck the soul out of Victor Wembanyama.
Ooh, the alien.
Give him the
Dementors versus
kiss.
the alien. Jeez. Yeah, so Trey and I taking the Kings to cover that small line in San Antonio, but you never know. It's the NBA, man. You never know. So we will see. Right now, we got Tass and Trey, once again, tied in last place for the month of November. 1-3, but it's still very early. We're going to be on playback tonight because why not? Especially with all those games starting at the exact same time. I think we'll jump on around, 9:30 or so, Tass? Maybe
9:30.
second half action?
Yep, 9:30 at
Okay.
Eastern time. Come on, join just basically for the second half of the games.
Yeah, hopefully, 1, 2, 3 of them. All of them are close, and we'll bounce around
Oh, yeah, it's
and
easy.
watch those together.
Easy
So-
to bounce around. You know what I enjoyed doing this weekend? The multi-view on the NBA app. I never thought I'd get into it.
Okay.
I never thought. It was good.
It's good because there's a lot of downtime in games with timeouts and free throws and looking at reviews. So you're like, okay, I'll stop looking at that side of the screen and
Yeah.
I will look over here. Yeah.
You can change
You can
the
click
audio,
over and get
too.
the audio. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even
But
have
hold
to
on,
click
are you
over.
doing it on your computer screen?
Nah, too small.
Too small.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, you got it on a big monitor or on the TV?
TV, yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Can
we
we do that on playback? No. But it doesn't matter. I'll be quick enough. I'll
Yeah,
be quick
Taz
enough on the remote.
bounces around. That link to join our playback room, it's in the show notes. So go click on that and join the No Dunks playback room. We have a lot of fun doing that. Trey and Esh headed to the Bay Area for Klay Thompson's return to take on the Golden State Warriors.
That's right.
That's first game of the in-season tournament. That's tomorrow night, so you guys
That's why
jumping
we're
on a
going.
plane? Okay.
Yeah, big cup heads.
Yeah?
Got to see the debut of these new courts and get a captain's hat, hopefully.
Yes.
Captain Clay hats to the first 48,000 people who show up.
Before we knew that, last week I said here, we weren't on camera, but I said maybe you should get a captain's hat to wear while you're there for his return. And then we found out it was 6 hours later, they're giving away one to everybody in attendance.
That's right. Celebrating Clay. I wonder what the response is going to be. Definitely not the most amicable parting of ways at the end, but obviously Klay Thompson is getting his jersey retired, maybe a statue eventually for the Warriors. So it should be we love you, and then the game starts and we hate you.
Maybe, yeah.
That's what it should be.
Okay.
We shall see. I would love to see his pier where he docked his boat, though. I wonder where it is, you know? It's got to be near the arena.
Well, hey, you're gonna be on the scene here, you and Esh.
That's right.
Do some reporting. So we'll
Catch
have
me in the marina.
yeah, definitely say hi to Trey if you see him and Esh. And then you'll be on Wednesday's show to give us the report,
Confirmed.
the whole scene from that night. So can't wait for that. Otherwise, Tass and I will be here tomorrow. So join us at 10 a.m. Eastern. If we don't see you on playback, we'll see you here in the Classic Factory. Until then, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, DeAnthony Melton also a winner this weekend. Yeah, you know I love my Gabe. You know I love my DeAnthony. DeAnthony Melton, first start of the season for the Golden State Warriors, dropping 19, 5 threes.
Well, we got to trade DeAnthony Melton to the Kings. He could join the Dementors.
Oh, the Dementors.
They're growing. All right, embrace the day, people.